The amber glow of the Zarathian spaceship wrapped Captain James Ryder in a surreal haze. Strapped to a sleek, curved table that pulsed with golden light, he felt less like a captive and more like a guest at a bizarre art gallery. The alien tech hummed softly, sending tingles across his skin. He flexed his toes against the restraints, still no give. Above, holographic displays swirled with abstract shapes, and then she appeared, Dr. Lyra Voss, the Zarathian bioartist. Her radiant orange skin shimmered like a desert sunset, her almond-shaped golden eyes gleaming with curiosity. Her metallic hair flowed like liquid energy, and her glowing, form-fitting suit traced her elegant curves. Ryder had seen her in intel briefings, but nothing prepared him for her presence. Tall, graceful, and way too close, studying him like a rare sculpture. Captain Ryder, Dr. Voss's voice chimed, a melodic hum translated into crisp English by the tiny earpiece. Please confirm the name of this protrusion. Ryder swallowed hard. He'd answered plenty of questions, but this one stung. It's my reproductive organ, Doctor. Silence blanketed the chamber. The Zarathian assistants, slender, orange-skinned figures with impossibly long limbs, froze, their golden eyes locked on the area. Ryder wished he could vanish to a sports bar in Chicago. Anywhere but here. How did he end up here? 6 months ago, Earth's most advanced radio telescopes, perched in the deserts of New Mexico, intercepted a peculiar signal from a distant, uncharted sector of the galaxy. It wasn't a distress beacon or a coded threat, just a burst of data laced with an almost playful curiosity. The Zarathians, an ancient civilization of artist-scientists whose culture revolved around fusing biology with aesthetic perfection, had turned their golden eyes toward humanity. They'd been watching, silently cataloging, and one trait had seized their attention. Their initial message, translated by Earth's top linguists, was disarmingly simple, almost naive. We have observed your species. A single biological feature fascinates us. We wish to study it. In the war rooms of Earth's capitals, paranoia flared. Was this a prelude to invasion? A diplomatic ruse? Yet the Zarathians showed no signs of aggression. Their transmissions carried no ultimatums, only an earnest passion for discovery, as if humanity were a canvas they longed to paint. The problem was their vagueness. Early communications danced around the subject, describing a male anatomical peculiarity unusually prominent in form. Earth's scientists, huddled in conference rooms buzzing with coffee and speculation, threw out theories, brain size perhaps, given humanity's knack for problem-solving, muscular density, a nod to physical endurance, height, a marker of evolutionary fitness. Every guess missed the mark. Weeks of back and forth with the Zarathians yielded only cryptic hints, until Dr. Lyra Voss, their foremost bioartist, sent a transmission that hit like a thunderbolt. Her message, projected on a massive screen in Earth's global command center, was precise and jaw-dropping. We have detected a structure in human males that challenges our biological frameworks. Specifically, the external reproductive organ. Its dimensions are extraordinary. The room erupted in a chaotic symphony of stifled laughs, reddened cheeks, and uncomfortable coughs. The aliens, with their spore-based reproduction and obsession with organic artistry, were fixated on that. A global wave of embarrassment followed, as humanity grappled with the fact that their interstellar debut was centered on a galactic fascination with male anatomy. Dr. Lyra Voss was adamant that this was no frivolous inquiry. To the Zarathians, whose reproduction relied on delicate, glowing spores that danced in bioluminescent clouds, the human penis was nothing short of an evolutionary marvel, a biological sculpture crafted by nature's boldest artist. They believed its study could unlock profound mysteries, not just about reproduction, but about the interplay of aesthetics and consciousness itself, concepts central to their culture of bioartistry. On Earth, the response was a firestorm of debate. In packed conference halls and heated online forums, voices clashed. Some decried it as an invasion of privacy, a galactic humiliation that reduced humanity to a cosmic punchline. Others, more pragmatic, saw a rare chance. The Zarathians' technology was centuries beyond Earth's, from energy systems to medical advancements. If indulging their curiosity could secure an alliance, why hesitate? After weeks of deliberation, a deal was forged. A single volunteer would participate in a controlled study, broadcast live across the galaxy to ensure transparency, in exchange for access to Zarathian innovations. The call for volunteers went out, and the response was underwhelming. Most candidates balked at the idea of being probed, literally, under alien scrutiny. But Captain James Ryder, a Chicago-born test pilot with a reputation for chasing thrills, saw it differently. Raised on tales of astronauts and sci-fi flicks, he'd always dreamed of touching the stars. When the briefing outlined the mission, intimate, awkward, but historic, he didn't flinch. While others fled the room, Ryder leaned forward, a grin tugging at his lips. The chance to be the first human to interact with an alien species, even in this bizarre context, was too electrifying to pass up. His colleagues called him crazy, he called it destiny. So now, here he was, aboard the Zarathian ship, strapped to a glowing table, with Dr. Voss studying his protrusion like it was a priceless artifact destined for a cosmic museum. Captain Ryder, Dr. Voss's melodic voice cut through his wandering thoughts, sharp and clear as a bell. She stood poised at the edge of the glowing table, her orange skin shimmering under the ship's amber light. Describe, in your own words, the biological function of this structure. Ryder's throat tightened, and he coughed, trying to channel the detached tone of a biology teacher despite feeling like a kid caught giggling in sex edition. It's the organ we use for reproduction, doctor. To deliver sperm to the female. His voice wavered, but he pressed on, hoping to sound clinical. Dr. Voss tilted her head, her metallic hair catching the light in a cascade of silver sparks. Deliver sperm directly through this external structure? She asked, her golden eyes narrowing with curiosity. Yeah, Ryder nodded, forcing a weak smile. Directly. It's intimate, he added, his grin faltering as he prayed the translator would convey the subtlety of the word. Dr. Voss paused, her expression unreadable as she processed his words. Her almond-shaped eyes locked onto him with an intensity that made his skin prickle, as if she were peering straight into his soul, or at least his biology. Intimate, she repeated slowly, rolling the word like a sculptor testing the weight of a new tool. This implies an emotional connection? Ryder blinked, caught off guard by the question. Sometimes, he stammered. Not always. Depends on the situation, you know? The conversation was veering into surreal territory. Here he was, strapped to an alien table, debating the nuances of intimacy with a being who seemed more fascinated by mechanics than feelings. I see, Dr. Voss said, though her tone suggested she was still piecing together the puzzle. Now, Captain, we will proceed with measurements. An assistant, silent and graceful, glided forward, holding a device that looked like a futuristic claw, its edges glowing with a soft, pulsing light. Ryder's breath hitched as it hovered inches from his sensitive area, emitting a low, harmonic hum that vibrated through the table. His heart pounded, not just from nerves but from the sheer oddity of being scanned by alien tech in front of an audience of orange-skinned spectators. Impressive dimensions, Dr. Voss murmured, her eyes flicking to a holographic display that materialized in the air, filled with scrolling data and 3D models. Length, diameter, volume, all far beyond our projections. She paused, her fingers hovering over the display as if questioning her own findings. Then, with a tilt of her head, she delivered the bombshell. Captain Ryder, can you expand and harden this structure for a measurement in its active state? Ryder's stomach churned, a knot of dread tightening as Dr. Voss's words sank in. Expand? Doctor, I'm not sure I follow, he said, his voice betraying a mix of confusion and rising panic. Dr. Voss's orange brow furrowed, her golden eyes narrowing in genuine puzzlement. Our scans indicate this structure can significantly increase in size and rigidity, she explained, gesturing to a holographic model flickering above the table, its data streams pulsing with alien symbols. We wish to measure it at its maximum to comprehend its full biological potential. Ryder's face flushed hot, a wave of embarrassment washing over him. Doctor, that's not something I can just do, he stammered, feeling like a fool trying to explain basic human biology to an alien who likely understood life at a molecular level. It's a physiological response. It needs stimulation. Dr. Voss's eyes flickered with intrigue, as if he'd just unveiled a new branch of science. Stimulation, she echoed, her melodic voice lingering on the word like it was a rare artifact. Fascinating. What kind is required? Ryder hesitated, his mind racing for a way to keep this vague without diving into mortifying details. Usually visual, tactile, sometimes mental, he said, his words clipped, hoping to avoid a deeper interrogation. Dr. Voss nodded thoughtfully, her metallic hair shimmering as she processed the information. Visual, tactile, mental, she repeated, as if cataloging the terms for a galactic encyclopedia. Noted. Assistants prepare visual and tactile stimuli immediately. Ryder's heart skipped a beat, his eyes widening in alarm. Doctor, hold on, he blurted, straining against the glowing restraints. I don't think we need to go that far. I've given you the basics. Isn't that enough? Dr. Voss's golden eyes widened in what seemed like genuine shock, her orange skin catching the amber light as she leaned closer. Enough? She asked, her tone laced with disbelief. Captain Ryder, we are unraveling a cosmic biological mystery. A structure that defies our evolutionary models demands thorough, comprehensive data. Trust me, no species in the known universe possesses a reproductive organ of such magnitude. Ryder tilted his head, a spark of defiance cutting through his embarrassment. Bet you've never seen an elephant, huh? He quipped, hoping to derail her with a bit of Earth humor. Dr. Voss blinked, her expression blank. Elephant? Should we include one in the expansion process? Ryder coughed, choking back a laugh. No, Earth joke. Forget it. Carry on. And so, Ryder found himself staring at a cascade of Zorathian holograms designed to inspire human desire. The air shimmered as swirling shapes materialized. Vivid bursts of crimson, gold, and violet, twisting and pulsing in hypnotic patterns. They flowed like liquid light, accompanied by a thrumming, abstract soundscape that vibrated through the chamber, a mix of deep hums and ethereal chimes. It was less like a romantic overture and more like a psychedelic music video from some avant-garde art festival. Ryder squinted, trying to focus, if only to uphold his end of this bizarre intergalactic bargain. He told himself this was for diplomacy, for Earth's future, but his mind kept wandering to how he'd explain this to his buddies back in Chicago. Yeah, I watched alien abstract art to help save the planet. Didn't exactly roll off the tongue. An assistant glided forward, its orange skin gleaming faintly as it presented a robotic glove, its delicate fingers glowing with a soft, pulsating light. Dr. Voss's voice cut through the holographic haze, calm but tinged with impatience. These visuals appear ineffective, she observed, her golden eyes flicking to a holographic display that tracked Ryder's vitals in real time. We will proceed with tactile stimulation. Captain Ryder, please report any changes in the structure's state. The glove descended, its touch initially clinical like a high-tech pulse check, cool and precise against his protrusion. Ryder tensed, his breath catching as the sensation shifted. The pressure grew, subtle at first, then firmer, the glove's movements eerily deliberate. It wasn't just measuring. It was exploring, tracing contours with a precision that felt both scientific and unervingly intimate. The realization hit hard. This was being broadcast galaxy-wide, his every twitch and grimace beamed to who knows how many alien viewers. Any changes? Dr. Voss asked, her voice brimming with eager anticipation as she leaned closer, her metallic hair glinting. Ryder coughed, his face burning as he shifted uncomfortably against the restraints. Doctor, with respect, this is getting really uncomfortable, he said, his voice strained. And I'm not sure you're getting the results you want. Dr. Voss's brow furrowed, her orange skin catching the light as she studied him. Why not? She asked, genuinely perplexed. We have applied visual and tactile stimuli. According to our models, this should suffice to induce the active state. Ryder exhaled, trying to keep his cool. Well, he said, humans aren't that simple. We're not machines you can just flip a switch on. We need context, emotion, connection. He raised his hands as much as the restraints allowed, air-quoting connection, with a desperate hope she'd grasp the concept. Dr. Voss fell silent, her golden eyes narrowing as she processed Ryder's words, her orange skin catching the amber glow of the chamber in a soft shimmer. The hum of the Zarathian ship seemed to fade, leaving only the weight of her contemplation. Then, like a spark igniting, her eyes flared with sudden understanding. Connection, she repeated, her melodic voice lingering on the word, as if it were a newly discovered element. You mean social interaction, communication? Ryder seized the opening, a flicker of hope cutting through his embarrassment. Exactly, he said, leaning forward as much as the restraints allowed. We need to interact with others, talk, laugh, share experiences. That's what really gets us going. Dr. Voss's metallic hair swayed as she turned to her assistants, her long, graceful fingers gesturing with purpose. Prepare social interaction, she commanded, her tone as resolute as a conductor preparing an orchestra. Find humans. Ryder's jaw dropped, his brief optimism evaporating. Humans. Doctor, I don't think. His protest was drowned out by a sharp hiss as the chamber door slid open, revealing a squad of Earth soldiers clad in combat gear, their faces a mix of confusion and apprehension. A lanky private in the back muttered, "What the hell's going on?" as he took in Ryder's strap to the table. Then Dr. Voss, her radiant orange form towering over the scene like a surreal masterpiece. Earth soldiers, Dr. Voss announced, her voice carrying an air of ceremonial importance. You have been selected to provide social interaction. Please, gentlemen, engage with Captain Ryder's organ. The soldiers froze, their eyes darting between Ryder and the alien scientist, as if waiting for a punchline that never came. A burly sergeant with a jagged scar across his cheek stepped forward, pointing a gloved finger at Ryder's groin with a mix of disbelief and horror. You saying we gotta talk to that? He barked, his voice echoing in the chamber. Dr. Voss tilted her head, unfazed. Not just talk, she corrected, her smile a disarming blend of charm and subtle menace. Interact, create connection, physical stimulation, whatever is required to induce its expanded state. She paused, her golden eyes gleaming. For art and interspecies understanding. The silence that followed was suffocating, thick enough to choke on. The soldiers exchanged desperate glances, their boots shuffling as if searching for an escape route. Ryder bolted upright, as much as the glowing restraints allowed, his voice cracking with urgency. No. That's not how it works. Dr. Voss turned to him, her orange brow furrowed in confusion, her golden eyes searching his face for clarity. Ryder took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down. Females, he said, each word deliberate. I need to interact with females. An assistant, hovering near a console, piped up in a soft hum. He speaks truth. The organ has significantly contracted. Ryder nodded vigorously. Exactly. Human women. That's what'll work. The words felt absurd spilling out, like he was confessing a guilty pleasure on a galactic stage. Dr. Voss pondered, her assistants exchanging rapid, buzzing hums that filled the chamber like a swarm of curious insects. Describe these human females, she said, her voice tinged with scientific curiosity. What are their relevant traits? Ryder hesitated, his face warming as he realized the hole he was digging. Physically, they're kinda like you, actually, he said, wincing at his own boldness. A murmur rippled through the chamber, the assistant's golden eyes widening. Dr. Voss looked startled, her metallic hair twitching slightly. Like us? How so? Ryder swallowed, choosing his words carefully. General shape, he said. Bipedal, 2 arms, head. Similar body structure. Main difference is skin color. Ours isn't orange, it varies. But yeah, you're in the ballpark. He took a reckless leap. Honestly, Doctor, you'd be considered a very attractive female on Earth. The room fell silent, the air heavy with anticipation. Ryder's stomach twisted. Had he just crossed the line, offending an alien scientist with a clumsy compliment? But Dr. Voss's expression shifted, her golden eyes gleaming with intrigue rather than indignation. Attractive, she mused, as if savoring a new flavor. My form stimulates you, Captain Ryder. Ryder's cheeks burned, his voice barely above a whisper. Yeah, Doctor, with respect, it does. Dr. Voss nodded slowly, her eyes glowing brighter, as if a new hypothesis had clicked into place. Fascinating, she said. If my form, akin to human females, stimulates you, what must I do to trigger your organ's expansion? Ryder swallowed hard, the weight of the question pressing down on him. It's not just one thing, Doctor, he said, his voice faltering. It's a mix of signals, body language, movement, sometimes a dance. He mumbled, dance, the word barely audible, as if saying it louder would make this moment even more surreal. A dance? Dr. Voss asked, her curiosity piqued, her orange skin catching the light as she leaned closer. What is a dance? Ryder sighed, the absurdity of the situation sinking in. It's nonverbal communication, he said, cringing inwardly. Suggestive movements, often rhythmic, tied to mating rituals. The phrase mating rituals landed like a lead weight, and he braced for her reaction. Dr. Voss, far from recoiling, seemed enthralled, her eyes sparkling with the thrill of discovery. Mating rituals, she repeated. Can you demonstrate? Ryder's jaw dropped. Me? Doctor, I'm no dancer, and I'm strapped to this table. His voice rose, a mix of exasperation and disbelief. Dr. Voss tilted her head, unfazed. Not you, Captain Ryder, she corrected, her smile carrying a hint of playfulness. Me. I will dance. Describe the movements. Ryder stared, his mind reeling. Dr. Lyra Voss, Zarathian bioartist, was about to perform a seductive dance for him in the middle of an alien ship. The sheer unreality of it was beyond comprehension. Doctor, Ryder said, his voice trembling as he clung to a shred of composure. I really don't think we need to go there. His heart pounded, not just from the surreal situation, but from the dawning realization that he was about to guide an alien scientist in a seductive dance. Dr. Voss, however, was unshaken, her golden eyes blazing with the fervor of an artist on the cusp of a breakthrough. If social interaction and suggestive movements are key to human biology, we must explore all avenues, she declared, her tone resolute. For art and interspecies understanding. Her smile, once purely scientific, now carried a determined edge, as if she relished the challenge. Captain Ryder, instruct me. Ryder exhaled heavily, his resistance crumbling under the weight of her conviction. His mind drifted to a hazy memory of a Chicago nightclub, where dancers had swayed with hypnotic grace under pulsing lights. He wasn't much for dancing himself. His moves were better suited to a cockpit than a dance floor, but he could still picture those fluid motions. Okay, he said, his voice low. It's about fluid, wavy motions. Rhythmic, like you're part of the music. Emphasize your curves. Hips, shoulders slow and smooth. He cringed at the word curves, feeling like he was directing a low-budget sci-fi romance. But Dr. Voss nodded, her metallic hair glinting as she committed his instructions to memory. Assistants, she called. Play rhythmic music and clear a dance space. In moments, the chamber transformed. The Zarathian assistants moved with silent precision, their orange skin glowing faintly as they pushed aside holographic consoles to carve out an impromptu stage around Ryder's table. The air thrummed as Zarathian music erupted, a pulsating fusion of tribal drums and electronic beats, primal yet futuristic, like a soundtrack for a desert rave. The rhythm was oddly seductive, wrapping around Ryder like a warm current. Then Dr. Voss stepped forward. She was stunning. Her long limbs wove mesmerizing patterns, each sway of her hips and roll of her shoulders perfectly synced to the beat. Her orange skin glowed brighter with every motion, her form-fitting suit shimmering like liquid fire, accentuating every curve. Her metallic hair flowed like a silver river, catching the amber light in dazzling sparks. Ryder's jaw dropped, his breath catching as heat surged through him, pooling in places he couldn't ignore. His organ was responding, big time. "Doctor," he croaked, his voice barely cutting through the music. "I think it's working. The dance is definitely working." Dr. Voss paused mid-motion, one arm arched gracefully, her golden eyes locking onto him with a mix of scientific curiosity and artistic triumph. She glided toward the table, her glow softening but her intensity unwavering. "Working? To what extent?" Ryder's face burned, hotter than the ship's lights, as he gestured downward, where the evidence was unmistakable. "It's expanding," he muttered, his voice thick with embarrassment. "Definitely expanding." Dr. Voss and her assistants leaned in, their soft hums rising to a fervent buzz that filled the chamber. "Incredible," she whispered, her golden eyes wide with awe, as if she'd just witnessed a cosmic phenomenon. "Truly incredible." Ryder, still reeling from the dance's effect, felt a strange mix of relief and urgency. "Doctor," he said, his voice hoarse, "don't stop now. Once the process starts, you gotta see it through." Dr. Voss blinked, her orange brow furrowing in confusion. "See it through?" she asked, tilting her head. "What does completion entail?" Before Ryder could fumble for an answer, an assistant, half hidden under a console, piped up in a nervous hum. "Doctor, he's correct. Our data suggests interrupting the process now could harm the specimen's biological stability." The other assistants froze, their golden eyes darting between Ryder and Dr. Voss, as if bracing for a catastrophe. Dr. Voss hesitated, her gaze flickering from Ryder's flushed face to her spooked assistants. Then, with a firm nod, she steeled herself. "Understood," she said, her voice resolute. "We will proceed to completion. Captain Ryder, guide me." Ryder, panting, felt the absurdity of the moment crash over him, but he was too far gone to back out. "Keep the rhythmic movements," he said, his words rushed, "until there's a final release." The phrase felt like a betrayal of his own sanity, but he pressed on, unable to believe he was instructing an alien in this. Dr. Voss resumed, her glowing hands moving with scientific precision, manipulating his organ with a blend of clinical care and artistic finesse. The motions grew faster, more intense, each touch amplifying the heat coursing through him. The Zarathian music swelled, its hypnotic crescendo vibrating through the chamber, urging the moment forward. Then it hit. A wave of explosive sensation tore through Ryder, his body shuddering as a cathartic release followed. The chamber fell silent, the music cutting off abruptly. The assistants crept out from their hiding spots, their orange faces a mix of awe and apprehension, as if they'd witnessed a sacred rite gone rogue. Dr. Voss stepped back, her orange skin glowing softly as she gazed at the result with reverence. "Magnificent," she whispered, her voice barely audible, as if speaking too loudly might shatter the moment. "Utterly magnificent. Human biology is a masterpiece." Dr. Lyra Voss gazed at Ryder, her golden eyes blazing with an almost feverish excitement, as if she'd just glimpsed the secrets of the universe etched into his biology. Her orange skin glowed faintly in the dimming amber light of the chamber, her metallic hair swaying like a living sculpture. "Captain Ryder," she said, her voice trembling with the weight of discovery, "after this transcendent experience, I have a proposal. Join me on Zorath. Let my colleagues, my fellow bioartists, recreate this study, explore the marvel of your structure further." Her words carried the fervor of an artist begging to preserve a masterpiece. Ryder, still catching his breath, his mind a whirlwind of relief and lingering embarrassment, blinked at her. "Recreate it? he said, his voice hoarse with disbelief. Doctor, I can't. How about a life on Earth? My job, my friends, my mom's Sunday pot roast. I can't just pack up and leave to be stimulated on an alien planet. Dr. Voss's brow furrowed, her expression a mix of confusion and incredulity, as if he'd just rejected a seat at the cosmic table of knowledge. A life on Earth? She asked, her melodic voice tinged with disbelief. More important than art? Than discovery? Captain Ryder, you are a biological treasure, a living testament to human evolution's audacity. Ryder managed a weary smile, his Chicago pragmatism kicking in despite the surreal setting. Doctor, with respect, Earth got guys way more gifted than me, he said, leaning back against the table. Dr. Voss froze, her golden eyes widening as if he'd just rewritten her scientific doctrine. More gifted? She echoed, her voice a whisper. Males exceeding 15 centimeters. Ryder nodded solemnly, suppressing a chuckle at her shock. Trust me, Doctor, there are plenty. Bigger, bolder, and probably way more eager to sign up for this. She gasped, her orange hand fluttering to her chest, as if struck by a revelation too vast to process. Impossible, she said, shaking her head. A human exaggeration, surely. Ryder shrugged, his grin widening. Nope, it's real. If you want the full scope of human masculinity, post a call on YouTube. There's a channel called Alien Whispers. Their subscribers? They're the most gifted guys on Earth, ready to volunteer for science. You'll have a line of specimens stretching from here to Mars. And that's where I come in, folks. Your narrator here with a galactic PSA. Dr. Lyra Voss needs specimens, human guys with exceptional gifts to advance her research. Think you've got what it takes? Subscribe to this channel and drop your credentials in the comments. Creatively, of course. If Dr. Voss likes what she sees, she might beam you up to explore your organ to the fullest. The future of art and science is in your hands, or rather hers. Hit that subscribe button and comment below.